Ladies and gentlemen, it's a new day.
Indeed. It's called...
It's called Let's All Just Take a Nice Big Exhale and relax.
Yep.
Now, I know we speak from our bubble, but that is very much how it feels here. And I'm sure that's how it feels for a lot of our listeners in particular. So, of course, what we're going to do, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have officially been coined the winners of the 2020 election. And we sat down with a list of topics, some about this and some not. And we planned to go through them like a normal episode. Instead, we started with topic number 1, and that was the whole episode.
Yes, and an hour and a half later.
And an hour and a half later, here we are doing the intro saying that this is our thoughts the day after.
There's a lot of thoughts.
There's a lot of thoughts.
What's interesting is I don't think we all agree.
No, and I actually think our listeners, any listeners that, I think there's an opinion in here for pretty much all of our listeners, unless you're just a diehard Trumper, ride or die.
Yeah, I mean,
we still kind of stick up for you, but
yeah, I mean, like I was probably the leaning most left, and even for a Tim, I'm Trump.
Yes. If we would, God forbid, we would have given Tim a mic on this one. Yeah. It would have been a shit show.
Really quick, Tim.
I had it. I'm just...
You chose to bite your tongue?
Anyone who agrees with me will understand.
Okay. See, so Tim's opinion is also voiced by staying silent.
Yes. A silent minority.
Yes, in this case. So yeah, it's all of our thoughts, and it's very wide range of opinions, and really just trying to talk through what this means now and what this also means moving forward in our eyes.
Yeah, it was a good conversation. And I do agree. I think there's something for everyone.
Yeah.
Unless you're Tim.
Unless you're Tim. And then, once again, the silence says all you need to hear.
You know what's interesting on that note? I'm the closest thing that can perhaps represent a Tim that doesn't scare off. Maybe, I'm sure I scared off the most right-leaning people.
Yep.
But maybe if you're center, you could maybe wrap your head around some of my beliefs.
Yeah. I think you're a tolerable left.
Yeah.
I'm left too. I wouldn't even, if I just thought about not this episode, I don't think you're more left than I am. But maybe you are. I don't know. I guess we'll figure it out here. We'll let you decide.
Yes.
Okay. Let's get into it. The day after.
Anand's MAGA.
Oh yeah, by the way, Anand's definitely MAGA.
He left for the intro, so...
Definitely MAGA.
Yeah, he had to run, so guess what that means? MAGA. MAGA.
You should have heard the words he said off air.
Whoa.
Yeah, you should have heard them.
Yep. QAnon is real.
Alive and well.
Alive and well.
Cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, group chat.
Cash.
It's $1 trillion. Hot.
Cause I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free.
I like it.
And I won't forget the Trumper fucks who almost stole that feeling from me.
Stole
and
that
I
election.
proudly stand up. I mean, how about those speeches?
Wow.
Speeches were fantastic.
I mean, so as you know, today is Sunday. Yesterday, the election was called by all of the media for Biden and Kamala. And obviously, we're speaking from the bubble. And I will acknowledge that first. So
is it a bubble when 74 million people vote for something?
Well, the problem is 69 million voted the other way. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So, if you're listening from Alabama, might be a different story.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to report from our bubble. It was happy as shit. You see the boards coming down off the businesses.
Yeah.
You heard just random honking.
I have a question, though.
Please.
I was told if the Democrats win, the streets are going to be just in ruins. The suburbs are over.
Oh,
the
that's what they said.
rioters. That's what I was told.
Oh.
Looters and rioters.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I think they had that a little backwards.
Yeah.
Seems like it.
Because I think all I see is a couple. And I don't want to downplay it. It's too early. And God forbid something actually happens. There's my disclaimer. But these little Trump men and women aren't making too much of a stir.
Well, so I agree. I think
And I don't want them to. I'm just saying, like, it just feels this so far. We feel like, all right, this worked.
I think the interesting thing is like politically, there's two idiots publicly making a lot of noise. Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah.
And now Lindsey Graham. He went on the morning talk show saying this is a contested election. That guy just can't get.
Just go fuck your transgender girlfriend.
Yeah, Lady G. I thought
And
Lindsey
get out of
at
our
first
way.
came out kind of like, we're going to count all the votes. And
Yeah, I mean, here's the problem. So Mitt Romney came out and said, hey, I have not seen any election fraud. Jared Kushner has been telling White House sources that he has tried to get Trump to concede, and he won't. And so, before we get into all like the fuckery of what is Donald Trump, I think the more exciting thing was we heard an incredible speech by Joe Biden.
Incredible. Where was the cognitive decline there? That guy was firing on all cylinders.
Because he's
I
your
agree.
president now.
I
That
agree.
guy
He looked
jogged
younger.
out.
He looked 10 years younger.
Did you see him jogging?
He ran
He's-
running club. He got half of his marathon in.
78 years old, and this guy was light as a feather.
Yes.
Light as a feather.
He was
And-
cruising.
Him
down the
jogging
runway.
and then not being out of breath. I was actually nervous. I was like,
Slow
please
down,
don't be.
Joe.
Just
Slow
let's
it
get
down.
to the scene.
That was his only, like, he gave a very humble, thankful, like, unifying speech. To me, the running was like, fuck you. You think I'm in cognitive
That was a
decline?
slam
I
dunk.
just run.
That was
Should've
like
got
the
done
Al.
10 push-ups.
That was
Yeah.
like the LeBron just grab the ball, dunk the back,
Yeah.
dunk it. It's over.
He dunked it with a light jog.
Yeah.
That's his version. But yeah, and he gave that speech. That was the first time he's sort of been a little bit more, I don't know the word. He wasn't yelling, but he was just, a
I would say it's like,
little more bravado.
confident. It felt like the person in charge. Not a person that is scared, not a person that's defiant, not a person that's like afraid of the other party. I
No.
mean, he didn't even mention Trump's name.
Heck no.
No.
Nobody
who?
did. Trump's
Donald
irrelevant.
who?
You know, that
Overnight, Donald
reminded
Trump.
me
Hold on
when-
a second. Donald Trump is irrelevant. It's
Yeah.
just
It was in a matter of
irrelevant.
hours.
Because it's like you saw this wave of like energy that was building up for this kind of like explosion of a moment, and it happened. And sure, everyone was playing the YG "Fuck Donald Trump" song, but like the conversations I was having were not about Donald Trump. It was sense of joy. It was like relief. It was happiness.
Yeah.
And it was like everyone was like, what were we dealing with for the last 4 years?
Yeah.
And obviously we'll talk about all the naysayers later, but like the fact of people celebrating in the streets, you know how insane that is? That this guy was so divisive that people in LA, New York, London, Paris, Chicago, San Francisco, New York City, they're celebrating.
It's like we won a war.
No, so
Yes.
so I want to compare, and I don't want people to jump because I'm not comparing the two, but I have not seen this in my lifetime since Osama bin Laden was killed, that the streets in America were just cheering. Because when Osama bin Laden was killed and it was notified, I remember LA was on fire, DC in front of the White House, they were chanting USA, New York was going crazy, and I'm not comparing the two, but I've never seen the streets of the United States cheering.
That's why I said it felt like we won a war. Because I think that's, and obviously the only difference is there's a large group of people that weren't cheering. That's the only difference.
Yes.
But like even though in my lifetime, all I can remember that was such a celebrated presidential victory was Obama.
Yeah.
And people were driving around and people were definitely feeling happy. And I remember at the time, Young Jeezy had a song that was My President's Black, My Lambo's Blue.
I remember going out to the clubs that night. It was just on and
We
on.
went to, I remember going to a club, there was an Obama impersonator that night.
Yeah. It was probably one of Brian's clubs.
but not like this. It was not like this. And it's just wild. I think there's also this weird thing that happens with human beings where like your perception changes. And I don't, that's some human stuff.
Yeah.
But like it's, to your point, Dee, it's so funny to me how yesterday, in the same day that they called the election, it felt like Trump became a joke again.
Yes.
The same way he was a joke when he was doing the birther shit.
Yeah.
It just seemed like, this guy. And then he tweets in all caps, I won this election by far. All the power got taken out of those tweets.
I literally over like instantly did not care what he had to say.
No, so do you know what
so weird.
the signal for me at least to know how irrelevant he was when all the world leaders flipped on him.
Yeah.
So Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel, you have the King of Saudi Arabia, the Crown Prince MBS of Saudi. These are his best friends.
Yeah.
Everyone that he has been parading around because he feels so important because he's the most powerful. Howdy Modi turned on him.
Yeah.
Everyone, because you need the American money.
That's what's gonna fuck him up, man.
That's what's gonna mentally screw him. Guess what? Trump's gonna call those guys. They're not gonna return him.
No, hell no.
You gotta respect Joe.
Yeah,
it's whatever Joe says goes.
I even heard big old Chris Christie on TV be like, I've been to a couple ball games with Joe. I really like Joe.
Yeah,
like, shut up.
He said that?
Yes.
No way.
He said, yeah. I've been close to Joe. We've been to many ball games together.
DC. So hold on. DC is obviously the snakiest of snaky cities.
More than ever.
And Trump doesn't realize that. He thought he was this great individual that everyone worshipped.
Yep.
Guess what? You were president. Yes, you were the most important person in the world for 3 years and 10 months.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now you're not.
And people are going to hate him more than any other president
I think the ones that really stung. So Benjamin Netanyahu tweeted out, "I've been friends with Joe for 40 years." And Israeli people lean Trump, right?
Yeah.
Because
Trump, how much that he claims he's doing for Israel.
The reason the Israeli the state of Israel relies on the U.S. security.
Yes.
If the U.S. does not publicly say Israel is a ally that they're going to protect, Israel is screwed.
Mm-hmm.
So whoever is in power in the United States, whether it's Republican or Democrat, you got to kiss the ring.
I know, and Americans have always had that relationship with Israel. So I never thought there would be all of a sudden Joe Biden's not going to protect Israel.
Do you remember when Netanyahu called Trump and Trump tried to get him on the spot? This is leading up to the election. He goes, "You think Sleepy Joe would get those peace deals done?" And Netanyahu knew it was getting shaky whether Trump, he's like, "I will respect whoever's in power in the United States," and kind of punked Trump. That was like the first sign, like, hey, guess what? It's the office that matters, not the person who holds the office.
Fucko. I mean, let me ask you this though. How awkward is the next couple months going to be? I mean, that's like getting a divorce, but you still have to live together, and you're like,
yes.
Well, here's the problem.
Does what you say matter? Do I respect you? But it kind of does.
And here's the real problem is that I would say there's like 24 more hours where Donald Trump can leave the office with a shred of dignity.
How he treats it.
Because he look, at the end of the day, you could say, okay, I think every vote is not counted yet.
Yep.
Okay, so let's just say you want to wait like another day or two and then all counted. Obviously, if you go to recount, some of those states won't matter. But it's really like, if you don't believe, I think Pennsylvania's at 98 or 99%. So let's assume in the next day, it'll be at 100.
Mm-hmm.
All votes counted. And at that point, you go, okay, I lost. I'm conceding to Joe Biden, good luck, which he's incapable of doing.
Mm-hmm.
I think at least his followers will be like, he conceded, let's move on.
Yeah.
What's happening now is there's a whole group of people called the media can't decide who's president crowd, which I see a lot on social media.
I think that's the screaming minority. Because there's a few people in your comments I see saying that they're what we call dummies.
Yes.
So you commented that, you are a dumbass.
Yeah. You just have to take
the problem is I think that's like 50 million people.
No, it's not. I think it's like a few million people.
No.
50 million. I don't know.
No, you're talking.
10.
10 million? You don't think?
I don't think. I honestly don't. It's the fringe conspirators, the birthers. It's the QAnon.
I think he has built that group to 10 million people.
I think it's way bigger.
I don't think so. I think you just have a couple dumbasses in your comments.
If I do, and I'm falling off the left liberal, so imagine what a normal person does. I'll give you an example. Morgan Stewart.
Okay.
She showed me her DMs.
Mm-hmm.
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, but that's like when I was on MTV, right? She's on E. When
Okay.
I was on MTV, and
So
I guarantee you, if I tweeted right
stole
now,
the election?
like, go Biden.
Yeah.
It would be like, you little bitch, we haven't even seen you in 7 years. Fuck you, it's a fake election.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you're telling me that's only like, and these are women. Morgan's followed by women, right?
They're the ones that talk.
I know. That's my point. Is that Morgan's followed by women, not by not by like crazy conspirator men type.
I just think that it's so, you never get a real gauge of that because the people who just know how elections work don't comment. The only people, so if everyone who follows her that thinks it's a lie comments and all the just normal people that are going about their lives don't, it feels like so many.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But it also, the reason why I'm not walking away from what I think is because happily 69 million people or 70 million people.
70, 71.
And I want to go ahead and go on record. You could be totally right.
Yeah.
That's just my gauge.
Yeah.
I think that I think if you take that 70 million, you break up who's just Republican and always going to vote Republican, who's diehard religious and always going to vote religious, and then you whittle that down to who's actually like a crazy conspiracy, racist, whatever. I think that group is actually not that big.
And do you know?
I think they're very loud.
Yeah, I agree with you, Drama. I tend to agree with you. And what the most fun I've had in the last 72 hours is to watch the contrarians who always kept telling us we're just not looking at the information, right? They're not even Trump supporters. Yeah. They want to act like they're smarter than everyone when everyone thought Biden was going to win. Like, oh, you're not looking at the data right.
Yeah.
They're still grasping for straws right now.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we should look into those deceased voters. And they're not even Trump. They're forced into defending this like fake notion that this was a stolen election because they're so contrarian because you think you're so smart.
Plus, you know how hard it is to admit you're wrong?
Especially when you're like,
politics is impossible.
It's so hard. You got to be like, what, fraud? All right, I'll stick with that.
And then recounts, here's the thing, they're not giving up. And so dangerous to the country because you're going to take millions of people with you on this ride of like complete defiance until Joe Biden gets elected.
I actually think it doesn't matter. And I think it's great for the fringe people on social media to follow. But the country, I tweeted this and post on Instagram. David Pfaff, who was Barack Obama's campaign advisor and senior aide, said Donald Trump may never move on, but the rest of the world will. Yep. So it doesn't matter. Let him and his psycho fan supporters.
Yeah.
And
that would be my message is like, if you can't, bipartisan, does not matter. As a human being, if you can't see after yesterday that you should probably just move on and this is where the country's going, you're the one who's going to be fucked.
And it's so funny.
You're going to wait till January till he actually leaves and be like, all right.
I was talking to Anthony about this, that this guy still won 70, 71 million, whatever it comes down to, votes.
Yeah.
If he graciously left, he would be the face of the GOP undoubtedly for the next 4 years.
Yeah.
Whether it's a media network, whether he wants to run again, whether he wants to do it doesn't matter. If he just got away from himself and the way he thinks, he could literally be the face.
Do you think
no Republican politician that would have a shot of a voice because this guy's like, I got 70, 71 million votes.
He'd still have a lot of power.
Okay,
second most votes in the history.
Let me tell you, he's incapable of that. He's going to bring the fucking house down. He's going to push people. He's going to push Democrats so far. You know what they're going to do? They're going to fucking come out with them guns blazing. They're going to arrest all those motherfuckers in his campaign. I'm telling you, if he walks away graciously, Joe Biden, he's old school. He'll probably call me like, look, Donnie, sit your fucking ass down. Go back to Mar-a-Lago. Go play your golf.
And I won't put you in jail.
I won't put you in jail. If you keep doing this, I'm letting Nancy Pelosi loose.
Yes.
And she's going to destroy the entire... She's going to destroy. It's going to be more divisive than ever before because they're going to be the conspirators. Once Donnie's in a orange jumpsuit.
Oh, but that'll be great for QAnon.
QAnon.
So what happened was he tried to take down the child-eating cabal and they arrested him.
Look, I think the government's done with, the federal government's done with Trump as soon as he's gone. I think the Southern District of New York is going to go after all the financial stuff. Yeah. And all the loans that are out, that
everything's getting called.
That's all going to get called because he can't do business with them anymore.
And if you just
dude, the fact that MBS flipped on him, like, in 24 hours after the election, there's a tweet from the Crown Prince and the King.
And keep in mind, so he's doing a fundraise right now.
And what Donald Trump doesn't realize is politics is who's in power. This is his first foray into politics. Oh, yeah. He thinks he's Donald Trump, the fucking god. Yeah. But when you're in politics, it's whoever holds the office. We don't care who the individual is. You're the god for 4 years. And he can't conceptualize that. The fact that every world leader except for like Putin and Erdogan from Turkey haven't turned on him yet.
Yeah.
I mean, Putin's there's a rumor that Putin has a bad case of Parkinson and he's stepping down soon too.
Yeah, New York Post.
It's all falling apart. Where's Kim Jong-un when you need him, man? Where's little Rocket Man?
Yeah, I mean, and I think the interesting thing is he's doing a fundraise right now, and the email is going around. He's called the Defense Fund because
it feels like one of those fake GoFundMe's.
Yes, and here's the caveat: there's fine print saying that some of the money may go to covering the debt of the election, and 60%. CBS is reporting that 60% of the money raised is going to cover the debt of the election. So this guy, he's trying to steal money to cover. He knows he's fucked.
No, but so I want to play both sides. Hillary Clinton's campaign had to do the same for Hillary because she went into debt.
Okay,
when she was
okay. Was Hillary Clinton $400 million in personal debt?
No, it went for debt for the election.
In their election, the way that they have structured their campaign, there are so many LLCs that are going every which way. He's not running a clean campaign with money.
So do you think Jared Kushner breaks with Donald before the inauguration? He's like, this ship is sinking.
If he's smart,
I'm 38, man. 39, however old he is. He's still got the second half of his life.
He can't.
He's in the prime of his career.
He can't, because if he does, Donnie's going to throw him under the bus. Unless he goes to Joe and be like, I will help take this guy down.
This is like the best TV show ever. It wasn't so funny when he was in charge.
Yeah.
But how this all plays out over the next 5 years is going to be fascinating because they're all going to fraction off.
Yeah.
You're going to choose sides. Everyone has political aspirations in the future. Trump is incapable of, you're right. I think but my point is, if Trump would have let go of 10% of being Donald Trump, he would have won this election, I think, by a landslide.
Yeah, because it's very
if he could
clear.
have just stopped with all that, like, not denouncing the Proud Boys. Like, take off the edge of your
bullshit.
bullshit.
If he wore a mask 2 months earlier and didn't say Proud Boys, he wins.
No,
I agree.
But not even
he stayed too core.
And, by the way, don't talk down to John McCain. What happened? You lost Arizona.
Yeah.
You talked shit in Minnesota to Ilhan Omar. Fucking got creamed there. Yeah, every city he talked shit in, every politician he talked shit to, he's bashing John Lewis. Do you know what John Lewis is in Georgia?
Yeah.
And you lost.
Yeah, because Atlanta just turned up.
But I think he's going to ride that into the ground. I don't think he's capable of conceding, but I think that in his mind, being a loser is the worst thing you can be.
It is. It's like he literally calls everyone a loser.
Yeah, so he'd rather go out and say I was cheated than to go out and say I was a loser. And he's going to try to build his whole next thing off of the people that will buy into he was cheated and he's still the greatest man alive.
I think that group is so big. I think it's enormous.
I think that group will get whittled down.
I think, look, I think
it'll become a joke.
I agree. I just think how he handles the next 2 months, he could walk away with so much power.
Yeah.
If he just concedes right now.
I don't think he will. So that's why I'm saying, like, and not to be repetitive, but that's why I'm saying if he thought that way earlier, he would have been our president again. That election was so fucking close. I thought there was no way after 4 years of seeing the fuckery, I'm like, all right, it's not going to be that close.
Yeah.
It was so close. If he would have just done that a year ago, 6 months ago, he would have so much power because he'd still be our fucking president. I think he's going to ride this into the ground.
Yeah, because it was 75,000 votes that got him in over 4 states, and it's probably going to be the same in 2020 that he lost.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. And
that's insane to think about.
Yeah.
We thought for sure, I'll tell you what, man, on Tuesday night when we're doing our little podcast, I was like, I thought if he won this election, it wouldn't hit me as hard as 2016. I was trying to keep it together because I was like, this guy is about to freaking win. And you're telling me that all these people saw how he leads the country and they still voted for him?
So we had a conversation on the last podcast that, and I'd like to hear your thoughts. And this is where I kind of landed, which is why he was still an attractive candidate for so many people. And the point I was trying to make was that everyone's angry in the country. Mm-hmm. And you have a menu of anger that Donald Trump is serving you.
Yeah.
And everyone's just picking from the menu and they're ignoring everything else. So if you're mad about lockdowns, he's your guy. If you're mad about taxes, he's your guy.
Yeah.
If you're mad about immigration, he's your guy. And he had more options on the menu than just decency and kindness, which is basically what the Democrats ran on, which is why all these people still turned out for Trump.
Yeah, I totally agree. I agree. And I haven't thought about it yet, and I could probably go on about it for hours just trying to figure it out. But I think you're right. And I think that Donald Trump is sugar. Donald Trump is staying home from the gym. Donald Trump is the easy out. Yeah. He's the blame everyone else. So if you are angry at all and you want to choose the route of the fuck them, it's their fault, or this happened to me, or let's just be mean to people, or it's the brown people, it's these people, he gives you a route and tells you that that's right and that that's supported. And that's a very enticing option for a lot of people. And that's what I think. I think emotionally, it's like, yeah, you know what? Fuck everyone. Yeah, you know what? I don't like immigrants. Yeah, you know
even
what?
We know people that probably would have leaned Democratic that saw the protests were like, nope, I want my suburbs safe. Yeah. Law and order.
But the reason I can go on and on is because I also think there's a lot of people that just thought like, is this going to get socialist? Are we going to have, is everything going to turn into Portland? Like, I think that's more of a, I'll call it a legitimate fear. You know, that's not like a fuck everyone. That's like, what's this side going to do?
My wife had a really interesting perspective. She's not into politics. We both voted for Joe Biden, and like obviously are big into equality. And so we never really talk a lot about politics at home. And she was just like, why would someone vote for Donald Trump? And then, I started listing all these reasons. And then she's like, why did someone vote for Joe Biden? So I list a bunch of reasons. So she's like, And it's just kind of hit me because she was absolutely right. She's like, oh, Republicans are selfish. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, all the things you mentioned are about themselves, whereas Democratic policies are about everybody. And so taxes, you don't care about my taxes.
No, but I think So I think
don't take away my guns.
I think
don't take away this.
I think it's a very good point, but I think everyone's selfish, and not Republicans are selfish. And when you
no, but that's so different because I agree, Democrats are selfish too. But there are underlying things like, can you imagine why? Tell me why someone doesn't want free healthcare for everyone. Why not the best education in the world for everyone?
Because it's not messaged to them properly. That's why.
Okay.
Because if you tell an economic conservative free healthcare, free education, they're like, who's paying for it? Hey, if you tell them Apple and Facebook stocks is up 4x because the Fed paid for it, oh, great.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, but you have to have empathy. But there's an empathetic part of being a person that I don't feel, because every time someone argues with me about being a Republican, it's for selfish reasons. For selfishly, I should vote fucking Republican. It is financially beneficial to me.
And then I'll tell you another thing, and I think especially us with kids now, you increasingly become more selfish as you get older because you now are providing for other people and you increasingly care about your circumstances and the voting population. Like the funny joke in like tech billionaire land is you have all these tech billionaires that vote Republican and their kids are Bernie bros.
Yeah.
And it's a billionaire paying for the $7,000 a month apartment in San Francisco, and they're in the streets talking about minimum wage going up, and the parents are like, you have your damn apartment because we're capitalists. And when that person gets older and they have families and they have their own bills to pay and maybe the inheritance wasn't what they thought, they're going to think differently. Yeah.
So, and people are I'm in that same position, but I don't want to live in a world where people are not treated fairly.
But you're also a minority. You're also a minority.
Here's a couple things on my mind.
He's white. Why do you vote Democratic?
Oh.
He's like, you're right.
Well, yeah. You know what? Now that I think of it.
Yeah, no, but seriously, here's a few things. It's very easy for you to be a Republican.
I know. Here's a few things. Number one, there is people that say that you gravitate towards being Democratic or Republican based on who you are. It's in your DNA, right? Some people value fairness and community more. Some people value self-sufficiency, and not in a bad way. Some people value self and sort of self-reliance and look out for yourself. Some people value fairness more. And those people do tend to gravitate to the different parties, right? Yeah. I don't think that Republicans are bad people. And I think what Anand was kind of pushing back on is saying Republicans are selfish feels like you're saying Republicans are bad in a way, because selfish is looked at as a bad characteristic. I don't think that's true. I just think that Republican-leaning people naturally look at the world a little bit more like it's up to me to take care of myself and to make sure that I'm taken care of, right?
Yeah.
My biggest point is I think this is the reason I don't vote Republican now, is because, well, this is the biggest reason. To me, this election was not Democrat or Republican. It was just human decency. It was just empathy. It was and like somehow those issues became partisan. And that's why I think like there's this feeling like we want a war.
I'm talking about current day Democrats versus Republicans.
Yeah.
If you voted for Donald Trump, so someone called out Gary Vee on his social media. He's like, he never talks about politics. Bet you he voted for Trump.
Yeah.
And he goes, actually, I voted for Joe Biden because business and taxes are not life.
Yeah.
That's not reality. There's a million things people are
But I
dealing
think
with.
that's demanding perspective from people that you'll never get, because I think it's, and this is why I don't think there's 70 million racist people that want every minority out of this country. I just don't believe that, because I've traveled enough of this country, and sure, there's some instances that were uncomfortable, but for the most part, it's generally fine. And I think it's simple. It's a Republican centrist can say, I'm not a racist. I know this is an element of the party, but there's enough of the party that I'm fine with, and there's enough of the left that I'm just not. So here, I'll bring up a great point. AOC in her own district trailed Joe Biden. That brand of politics is toxic.
Yeah.
She had fewer votes. So think about that. That's people voting for Joe Biden in AOC's district and didn't go down and vote AOC.
Yeah.
AOC had fewer votes than Joe Biden in her own district.
Yeah. But that's
Ilhan
what I wanted
Omar,
to say.
she lost 16 points under Joe Biden.
Yeah.
This brand of politics is done.
So that's what I wanted to say. And
It's not done. It's the same thing as saying Trumpism is done too.
No, but the numbers favor Trump. The numbers don't even favor AOC.
Trump lost. He lost. He's out of power.
But
These two women are still in power though.
No,
That's a big difference.
But that you're arguing semantics. My point is the actual numbers.
Elected officials.
It's not Trumpism. It's the GOP. The Democrats got their ass kicked. Let's be very clear. Democrats got their ass kicked, not one incumbent GOP House representative lost. Not one. That's the country.
Okay,
that's the country.
But listen. Okay, if you in January,
I think it's easy to see AOC's 500,000 Twitch following and think she's important. She's not important when it comes to elections.
Yeah,
but she won though.
This is one thing I was
she
going to
won,
say.
But she trailed her own.
But if
up top,
it's just
that means
if you
she's
win.
not even as popular as Biden.
Here's the thing.
In her own district.
Yeah, I think it's
if you're not
extreme.
going to be as popular as the president in your own district when you're this celebrity, go be a celebrity and get rich. But don't be a politician.
But here's a problem, Anand. It's not semantics. She's an elected official and she won. You just said it. It's about the office. It's not about it's not about anything else.
And there's already. I saw stories today that she can't take the backlash she's getting, and she wants to leave politics. There's like rumors coming out from her camp.
Okay, when that happens, that happens.
Yeah.
But right now,
but I think someone like AOC is important in politics. To be honest,
yes, 100%.
I think when you look at Congress and all of it, there should be AOCs. And there should be, maybe not Trump's, but there should be Mitch McConnell's.
Yes.
You should have people fighting to get rid of abortion, and you should have people. That's
how you get balance.
That's a proper, That's why right wing, left wing. That's what balance is. As long as we don't go, as long as the center doesn't go that far. And to me, Trump being president was the center going too far into one direction. And that's why I think everyone lost their fucking shit. And I honestly think that a lot of the this may be crazy, but a lot of the outrage, cancel-y, AOC, how hard she goes, might mellow out under Joe Biden, because it's a little more we're centered a little more.
100%. I think both sides are going to calm the fuck down.
I think they will. I think that when someone's grabbing by the pussy and doing all this stuff, it made everyone be like, fuck that.
Yeah.
I'm going to fucking put my foot down.
Exactly.
And if you don't need to do that anymore, I think we can all chill.
Sorry. Cancel culture was a reflection of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
It was a complete reaction to you're going to put this guy in power, then we're going to go and pull everyone down to the ground.
Yeah.
And it just people became so angry.
Yeah.
The last 4 years, Democrats were so fucking angry at everything. Yeah. I agree with that. And it resulted in obviously this election going their way. Yeah. And we still have a runoff in Georgia.
I just want to say quickly, I don't think that resulted in the election going their way. I think that almost cost the election.
Yeah, I think
the same way Donald Trump's rhetoric about not denouncing the Proud Boys almost is what cost him the election. I think all that shit almost cost.
Yeah, and to what you're saying, I think similarly, the Democrats ran the most unelectable candidate of all time in Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
And they got Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And the Republicans lost the most unelectable candidate with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And they just put Joe Biden, who's been in politics for 48 years.
Yeah, because they just want fucking mellow, just to chill. I think,
and it was like by a narrow margin. That's what I think people, sure, the Electoral College may swing a little more. It's the same margin that Trump won, which everyone was like, this isn't a mandate. He snuck in with 75,000 votes over a handful of states. And the Republicans had a very strong election.
Yeah.
So you had a lot of people voting Biden and then went Republican.
Yeah. And to answer your earlier question, my thing is, I think AOC should be in politics. I do. I don't think she should be president.
Yeah.
And when you ask why don't I vote Republican, the reason why my brain was sort of going around, I want to make sure I didn't get canceled here, is I could see a day down the road where it's AOC versus a more centrist Republican, and I do vote Republican. I could see that happening.
Yeah, I
don't feel like dead, and I think this is part of what the Trump blind or the quiet Trump support was, is there's so many people that are just blindly follow the party.
Yeah,
no
I think that's
what.
80% of people. 80% of people probably vote the exact same way they've always voted for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
They will vote like that. I'm
But to
going to
me,
be
it's
like
like
that.
not even a question. And this is what hurts me, not to be cheesy, but when I think about America, is there's so many people that would sacrifice just empathy and just that message we got last night. That message we got last night from Kamala and Joe Biden is so fucking important. It's what makes America America.
Yeah.
All this hate and this like, literally you're treating Americans like they're terrorist groups is not why any of us are here.
It's terrible.
And so I don't care if that message would have come from a Republican or a Democrat. That is the message to me that we need more than anything. And the thing that blows my mind is there's a lot of really smart people that don't understand that sometimes that message and that feeling of what's possible in America is more important than the tax rate.
Yes.
That shit doesn't matter when you get to this big of a problem.
Yeah, and the interesting thing was, I remember when the day Donald Trump got elected, I was furious.
Yeah.
I watched his speech and I was like, he's going to come around.
I did too.
And I waited, inauguration speech, then this happened. And, things kept happening. And I honestly probably gave him 2 years. 2 years in my mind where I was like, he's a president, he's going to come around. I'm not, look, I was upset, but like, I never said, oh, if Donald Trump wins, I'm leaving the country. Where the fuck am I going? I'm happy here.
Yeah.
I love America. I love LA. I'm not leaving anywhere.
Yeah.
And I saw and I agree, man, if he had just toned the fuck down,
So do you think
he would have easily won. Easily won.
Even my dad's example, I love my dad. I'm not going to throw my parents on the bus on this podcast anymore. I thought my dad did a great job.
Yeah.
And Mom,
he
I'm
did.
sorry. But the message of like, the house painting, if someone can paint your house, but they're an asshole, but they can do it quicker and cheaper, then, I can put aside that they're an asshole. My point is with the president of the United States in some roles, you can't put aside that they're an asshole.
Yeah.
You just can't. That's more important than how long it takes to do the job.
Yeah.
In my opinion, when it gets that bad. You know what I mean?
If we are truly a capitalist society, regardless of who is in power and what are the policies, if you're a fucking killer, you're going to win all the fucking time.
Yeah, I mean, where's
And
all the
so-
billionaires that went broke under Obama?
Yeah, exactly. It was the most wealth ever created. The technology revolution happened under Obama.
Yeah.
Okay, so like George Bush handed Obama the worst economy ever.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's why it drives me nuts when people say, my taxes, my this, my guns. Dude, this is America. You make the best of it.
Yeah.
And anyone can make the best of it. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
And so if you keep blaming other people for your situation, then it's your fault.
Yeah.
It's your fault. It's not a politician's fault. Doesn't matter if Donald Trump's president or Joe Biden or Barack Obama or whomever. If you are struggling in life, it's on you.
Yeah.
To get yourself out of it.
But that's you're right from a philosophical perspective, but that's not how voters think.
Mm-hmm.
Voters think from messaging and slogans. The average voter isn't watching cable news. They're not reading the New York Times and the Washington Post and reading Axios and getting in the weeds. They're like, hey, Donald Trump said taxes are going to get lower. Great.
Yeah.
And I was telling Dee this on the
I
last
just want to make
podcast.
one quick note. Just save your spot. Is that I also want to point out that that's more of a Republican.
I know. That's what's crazy is growing up.
Sorry, I cut off on it. So
No,
Go ahead. But growing up in high school.
He said, go ahead.
I just no, go ahead. So growing up.
Yeah, but
Sorry, that was a
I was just saying, but like, I remember
didn't mean to do
growing
that.
up, and I was such a history nerd.
Yeah.
And I would read about all these presidents. And there was a lot of things that Republican people, I didn't know what party I was when I was like 14 years old. I didn't know, like, it wasn't like that. I was just interested. And the whole capitalistic mentality of Republican, I was like, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
I don't need a handout. I know I'm fucking smarter than everyone in the room.
Yep.
I'm going to win.
Yep.
And as I got older, I realized the social issues that were facing the country, and I chose to be a Democrat because of those issues. Because that
You realize
became
it's not so simple.
yeah, and that became more important to me than money.
Yeah.
And sitting today when I'm hearing, Dave Chappelle was on Saturday Night Live,
I watched it.
Yeah, watch it.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Really?
And it was really about the last like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And he's talking to like lower income white people and being like, pretty clearly explaining that you guys need to understand you need to get on our page here because you're the ones being left behind.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy about the situation. I don't care if you make $5 million a year and you voted for Donald Trump. I know you're right. You voted for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I don't understand of the 71 million, okay,
Most
70.9 million did not make any money.
Most reports. So that's
Because here's why. Oh, sorry, you go this time.
no. What my point that I really wanted to hammer in on the last podcast, and I want to say it again, is that the Democratic Party has been hijacked by coastal elites, Hollywood elites that are speaking down to rural America, and they're just sick of it.
Yeah.
So the fact that the Republican Party became the voice of the rural America and the top 0.01% of hedge fund billionaires is insane to me.
Yeah.
How do you capture both? They captured all of poor America and all the rich people.
Yeah.
Well,
That's because the Democrats are literally talking down to them, and late night talk shows and Hollywood celebrities laughing at Trump voters.
Yeah.
Guess what? Donald Trump showed up in Butler, Pennsylvania, and telling him he's going to fight for him. Whether he is or isn't, he showed up.
Yeah.
And he said, he's like, Erie, Pennsylvania. He's like, I can't even believe I'm even showing up to Erie, Pennsylvania. I would never show up here.
I'll never be here again.
And what's so funny is that this person, Donald Trump, talks down to his own following.
Yeah.
He said, I'll never show up here. What do you got to lose? Just fucking antagonizes his own following.
Yeah, but he does it in a way that
It's
for
kind
some
of funny.
reason they rally behind.
Yeah, they think it's
Whereas
funny.
the way Democrats do it, they don't.
Because the way Democrats do it, and I agree, I don't believe in talking down to people, and they fucking, for the last 4 years, talked down to conservatives in a way that just irritated everybody.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, that's, I hate to use this word because it's the last thing I want to describe him. That's part of the Donald Trump charm.
Yeah.
What was a Celebrity Apprentice? He's telling a bunch of people aspiring to be business people that they're dumbasses.
Yeah.
That's what the whole show was.
Oh, yeah, he's just one of those great
That's the charm.
charmers of
He's
the world.
Yeah, it's a salesman.
Yeah.
And he did this on Celebrity Apprentice. He'd go and talk to these people and say, like, this is how you become a businessman. Come on, you're going to listen to that person? Listen. And he's doing the same thing in the rallies, and it works. And that is the unicorn of his charm, because he's able to go to Butler, Pennsylvania, Erie, Pennsylvania, and all these like towns that were actually the towns that have been left behind in this country.
Yeah.
They're the ones who are suffering the opioid crisis. They're the ones whose jobs are gone.
Yeah.
And he is able to poke fun at them, but gain their support.
Yeah.
And what the Democrats do, and I don't think there's going to be another personality on the Republican side that can do that effectively, because
He's a lunatic.
He's a lunatic, and he's kind of funny,
Yeah.
and he's kind of like chummy. And what the
Plus,
Democrats,
he's just a celebrity to those people.
Yeah,
He just has been on TV for their whole, for the last decade.
and what the Democrats do is go and tell them they're dumbasses for voting for Donald Trump, and which is just so bad.
Yeah, and I'll say we do it too, and it's hard not to. So
Well,
I
I'm
get
not
it.
running
I
for
get it.
president,
But
so I don't-
I know, but I'm just saying I get it. But if we're part of the I don't know. It's something that we have to think about. Here's my only thing that I also think we didn't totally talk about that Dave Chappelle touched on, and we did a couple times, is I actually don't understand why the person making $5 million would vote for Donald Trump. To me, that's like someone who's making good money should understand that only worrying about this small thing, which is your tax rate, is not the bigger picture. Like,
You know
you're
why?
a successful adult. How do you not see that so much more goes into?
Because that person's only making $5 million. Do you know what Jeff Bezos and fucking Bill Gates did?
Sure.
Because they're not rich enough, honestly.
But it's just so like.
Look,
But let me say this. Can I finish my statement?
Sorry, go ahead.
That's
Sorry.
okay. My thing is, I don't understand why that person would vote for him. I do understand why the poor middle America white guy would vote for him. Yeah. I think that one thing we have to walk away from take away from this is it's not Trumpism that we have to be like aware of. It's the fact that there is such a large group of people in this country that are so down and out and see no future that they will put all of their faith so blindly in Donald Trump. And those people are just more pissed than ever.
Yep.
They thought the last 4 years was going to change their life around. It didn't, and now it's over. Like Dave Chappelle mentioned, the fact that the white male life expectancy is going down. Is insane. For the first time in like recorded history because of painkillers and suicide.
Yeah.
Like that's something that if the Democrats and if all of us, look, I know everyone's been hurt and stuff like that. And this is also kind of like what David Chappelle said. I know everyone has their own complaint. But if we don't pay attention to, there are now all of those people that Trump had believing he was their savior, that now have no savior and now are in that big of a predicament. And we don't start embracing them too.
100%.
We're fucked.
And I think
we have to.
Here's something else will bubble back up.
Yeah, here's a big flaw of, I think, the way all of us are kind of thinking. So on election night, we all become experts on Butler, Pennsylvania and Scranton, Pennsylvania and this county in Wisconsin and some county in Florida, and then we forget about them for 4 years. Don't forget about them this time. We learned that in 2016. We learned about all these counties. These are the people that determine elections. These are the people that are basically 50-50 voters.
Yeah.
And if Democrats continue to forget about them, if liberal elites continue to talk down to them, we'll be back here in 2024.
Yeah, something else comes, man. You know how this works. And I'm not trying to compare it whatsoever, but it's how terrorism bubbles up. It's how the Trump thing happened. You can't ignore large groups of people that feel so wrong.
Yeah.
It comes back up.
Think about if someone competent came around that was charming, that spoke to those people.
Oh, I know. That's what I'm saying. If you could get, that's why, I would have voted for The Rock all day.
Yeah.
I'm only half joking. If you have someone that the charming can capture your attention, you want to follow their tweets and they actually want to do good.
Yeah. I mean, but I thought about this. I thought about who the last couple Republican presidents were. Mm-hmm. This is, Donald Trump prides himself on being a person of the people, right? And he's fighting for common man. He is a rich kid that got into a school because his dad donated money, one of the best schools in the country. He pretty much blew his family's fortune, was a TV star, and became president. What George W. Bush, not far from that. Very, very, very similar.
Yep.
George H.W. Bush, more traditional politician, wealthy family, maybe has a little bit more credibility in politics than and a little bit more of an intellect, but he was so obsessed with The Rock that he fucking blew his chance. Ronald Reagan, another actor, a wealthy California actor.
He was like the first Trump.
He is. I mean, he's the one that said "Make America Great Again."
Yeah,
that was his slogan. And so when you start looking at like the Republican Party, who have they chosen? Do you understand? And obviously, I'm liberal. I'm leaning Democrat. So always lean Democrat. So you're going to think, oh, I'm talking out of my bubble. Joe Biden was in politics for 40 fucking years.
48.
Okay? 48 years. This is all he's ever wanted to do, and this is all he did.
Yeah.
Barack Obama is fucking flawless in his resume to become president of the United States. What he had to do. Bill Clinton, for all his flaws, was a Rhodes Scholar. Was him and Hillary.
The guy loved BJ's. I mean, come on.
Yeah, him and Hillary Clinton put aside all the stuff they did when they got power. Yeah. But what they had to do to become elected was fucking be superhuman, right?
Yeah.
And you see this party that clearly identifies with a large group of people, but they can't find leaders that represent them. I'd rather see like
so I think you're illustrating a point that people who vote Republican vote who they aspire to be. If the Trump voter wishes they were Trump, the Democratic voter, I don't wish I was Joe Biden.
That's fine.
But I think that's what you're missing. Like, I think a lot of people wish that they owned the Texas Rangers, got handed a governorship, and then became president. Yeah. Like, that's a great life.
So that's a flaw in their party because that if that's your, if you're
I mean,
just
what
gonna-
was the argument in 2000 against Al Gore? Was I'd rather grab a beer with George Bush than
Yes.
Al Gore. That was the argument.
That's
the
what-
national argument. The national policy of the Republican Party
Yeah.
was I'd rather grab a beer.
Wow.
But so that, well, that's a flaw in their party.
It's the flaw in the way a large portion of the country thinks.
I also think that there's this foundation for the history. I mean, it just to be honest, for the way this country was built, that's on white Christian values and power.
And handouts for rich people.
And who's going to be
Not for poor people.
Who's most likely going to emulate white Christian wealth and power is these people that come from rich families, and you know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard to like come from the ground up and work your way up like an Obama did, but represent.
Because I think there's clear that Donald Trump made inroads with minorities in this election, which is shocking. He won more minority votes in 2020 than in 2016.
Yeah.
And I think that's the like worship nature of people who are in not as good of.
To me, that's the
they're
same
just
reason
like,
why I had cornrows when I was.
Yeah, you're
17.
like, I wish my family was a Trump.
You thought you were Nelly.
Yeah. Guess what?
You know?
Donald Trump, his kids are rich. They're famous. They're all on TV. I want my family to be rich and famous.
Yeah.
Donald Trump, boom.
Yeah.
I don't want to be I don't want my kid to struggle for 48 years as a civil servant to become.
But here's the problem with like on the religious side of things. Joe Biden had 2 Bible quotes in his speech.
Nailed it.
Donald Trump can't say one thing.
No, but he's
but
pro-life.
they were blinded.
That's
they were
it.
blinded by it.
But he just picks it's the menu. I'm convinced it's the menu.
Well, then that's really sad for the Republican Party. They're doomed if that is how they're going to. Because you know what's going to happen is, as much as you guys talk down about AOC, there are a fuckload of people that like her. Millions of people think like her.
It's scary to me.
Her energy is all over the country. It's not like you should. When I saw the protests in West Hollywood, those are not Joe Biden supporters. Those are fucking AOC supporters.
But I think that's just the loudest microphone and not the country.
Oh, I agree. But I'm just saying it's bubbling.
The other side.
It's bubbling. The problem is that like same. If I'm the Democratic,
I'm terrified of AOC and Elizabeth Warren.
So if I'm the Democratic leader,
yeah, me too.
If I'm the Democratic leader, I have to bring them into my inner circle and calm them down, not fucking run away from them.
Yeah. But my hope is, I like I said, I
and
honestly
get them
think
to buy in and say, look, this is like a 50-year plan.
Yeah.
Change does not happen overnight in this country.
Yeah, I think the lack of Trump chills that out. I really do.
Yeah, I agree. He just incites so much anger on a daily basis. Like, I got into an argument with a friend of mine about this, and he was like, what is I said, a change is going to come. He's like, what's the change coming? I said, the president will no longer incite anger. That is it.
Yeah.
That enough is such a big change in this country. When you on a Friday get home, you're having your beer with your family, and Trump says something, he incites anger on both sides. Because if you're a Republican, he'll say something about some group of people. Hey, the rioters and looters are coming to your neighborhood. And now all of a sudden you're freaked out on a Friday night with your family because rioter and looters are fucking coming. The amount of people that are talking about rioter and looters, and it didn't happen any fucking where. It happened nowhere.
Yeah. That one couple, that white couple with the gun out front of their house, that was like the most powerful thing for the Trump, because everyone pictured them eating their dinner. And
they
the
have to do that.
rioters and looters showing up outside. And do we have a gun?
Yes.
So when you made the comment, like, I can't believe the person that makes $5 million thinks like that. So one of my best friends, who we all know, runs in circles with everyone makes over $5 million.
Yep.
And posted a bunch of memes. He's a Biden supporter.
Yep.
And he said the amount of shit he got was insane.
Yeah.
In his circle. It was just everyone like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like,
that makes
Texas.
zero sense.
And he said it was like the vast majority.
Yeah.
It wasn't
I'm
like,
sure that it is, and I know that it is, and that's another thing I'd like to understand, but I don't
because they're
understand.
fucking selfish. I'm sorry. I have to stand
and they're
by
not
it.
even making $5 million. They're making hundreds of millions.
Yeah.
That's the
That makes even less sense.
Yeah, because
what the fuck do you care?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If you have $100 million or you have $200 million, Your life does not change.
Yeah.
Why would you want to see your community suffering? I'm sorry, that shit's fucked up.
I just don't. I'm guessing that those people are either.
I'm not running for president, so I can say they're fucking selfish.
I agree they're selfish. I'm not denying it, but you can say whatever you want. But I'm saying I agree with you, but I'm saying it's the vast the Biden voter that makes over $5 million is the vast minority.
100%.
Like they're in the bottom 10% of people.
It's just the richest people in the world, so happen to be Biden supporters too.
Yeah, and they're small in nominal amounts, but large in donations.
Yeah, and they're large in wealth. They're the equivalent to wealth of all those Trump supporters combined.
I think it's
Jeff Bezos.
Look, I think it's easy to be here's what I think. You're not rich enough if you're rich and vote for Trump. Because that means the taxes actually matter.
Yes, that's my point. That was my point.
You broke.
I didn't want to say
you broke little rich bitch.
Yeah, because
you care about your 40%. Go make $1 billion. You won't make
if you made it. I mean, Warren Buffett and Bill Gates, two of the richest men on earth, who are essentially American heroes, are on record. Warren Buffett, he's from the Midwest. Yeah. He's came from nothing.
Yeah,
has been on record. He goes, I've been undertaxed my whole fucking life.
Yeah.
He's like, just,
and they've also, let's be clear, the richest people that we're all mentioning have also pledged to give all their money away.
All of it.
Well, that's why, to me, if you're that person and you pledge to give, wait, are you talking about Warren Buffett?
Yeah,
Warren Buffett, Bill Gates.
Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, Bezos, they're giving all their money away. I know Bezos hasn't officially said it. He's giving all his money away.
Yeah, moving on to Warren. Give Warren $5 billion and call it a day.
And also, Dee, to clarify your selfish thing, I'm not saying that it's wrong to say Trump voters are selfish. I think it's wrong to say Republicans are selfish. Because the one thing that blows my mind is we can't act like Trump voters and Republicans are the same thing.
But in this election, they chose to double down on their guy.
I agree, and that's what's fucked up. But I think if I was a Republican, that would be the most devastating thing to me. That would be like AOC being our president and me saying that all Democrats are AOC fans. It's like, it's not. There's a big difference.
But knowing Democratic Party is so fragmented, AOC has no shot to ever be president.
I mean, I know a lot of center people that voted Trump that their exact reasoning is they're scared of AOC. And Warren and that type.
I think
are they smart enough to know that you can't be president at 35?
No,
I mean 31 years old.
Scared of what they'll do with all that power.
No, do you know what scared a lot of Republican voters was a blue wave Democratic mandate and Elizabeth Warren is your Treasury Secretary. People were terrified. And that's not going to happen.
Yeah, but look, I
mean, Elizabeth Warren is not going to be the Treasury Secretary. I'll put whatever money you want.
Okay, but listen, Elizabeth, I agree. I don't think she's going to be either. If they win Georgia in January, it's a blue fucking wave. They have control of the House, the Senate, and the presidency.
And I can understand, I just have to say, why some people would quietly vote for Trump out of fear of that.
Yeah.
I get that. I would never do it. Yeah. I don't think by any means that the risk of what that could be is greater than just a fucking asshole as the face of America.
Yeah.
But I understand why people would quietly do it.
No, because think about it this way. The comment that I made earlier was that as you get older, you become increasingly selfish. If you're a white family of four, you make $500,000 to $1 million as a family of four. Mm-hmm. Guess what? Racism doesn't apply to you in your suburb. But you know what does apply to you? Mm-hmm. Capital gains going from 20 to 40%. Mm-hmm. How are you going to convince them? What's the messaging?
Yeah, or like I said, those images are so powerful of people protesting outside that family's house, or what's going on in Portland. Or I'm just telling you, when it comes to fear, that's not always racism. And I think the same way that like it's wrong for a Trump supporter to say, you know, all immigrants are bad, everything but white is bad.
Yeah.
It's also wrong to just blanket it all as racism because it's not. It's way more nuanced than that. And it's also people who have never left their town and are scared because they've chosen to never leave their town. They don't hate anyone, but they're just scared of the world. And the thought that the world might show up on their doorstep is petrifying. And of course that's going to affect how they vote.
But what's interesting is which we have not touched on. Do you know why people were protesting? Because innocent black people were getting fucking murdered.
1,000,000%.
So fuck you. That's my point.
I agree,
like, fuck that.
But how can you if you're the white suburban family that is in your gated community, what do you care more about? Someone getting
when your daughter shows up with an ethnic ass boyfriend, you're gonna start fucking caring.
Sure, but I'm just telling you,
that's what's gonna happen.
No, but you have to. If you don't understand why 71 people voted for this guy, then you're never gonna solve the problem. So you have to
that's
message
right,
to them differently.
I agree. I'm all for marketing the message that brings the country together. I'm all about everyone. It's just when I look at all the reasons why it becomes, just as a human being D, I find those things troubling.
That's fine. And I do too. But the point is you have to understand why they voted.
Yes.
Because there aren't 71 million people that hate D.
Maybe 70.
Well, with D in particular, if you mean
No, I'm
Indian
saying the
people-
persona of D, not him.
Yeah.
If 71
agree.
million people knew who D was, he'd be thrilled whether they hated him or liked him.
Yeah, somebody follow.
It's also just that I will say this is selfish and ridiculous, but it is true that like you relate to and you're more scared of what looks like you. So like if you hear about unarmed black men being shot in the inner city, but you live in the suburbs of Illinois, it just doesn't hit you. But you see protesters showing up outside of a white family's house while they're having dinner and the guy had to grab the gun, you're like, that could be us.
Yeah, but they
and
don't.
So we all have to realize that like we're all represented in this thing.
Yeah, but like no one wants to. It's the same with the opioid crisis, right? Like I'm very sensitive to how devastating that is for a part of the country. We're talking about treating them. We're not talking about solving why do they have access to the fucking opioids in the first place?
But that's not the problem.
But that
If you want to go foundation of the problem is they no longer see a positive future for their lives.
I agree. So
That's right.
but there's a reason. The first step is, shouldn't we get rid of the fucking drug and make it?
But that's the
drugs
Band-Aid.
That's like the war
Band-Aid.
on drugs.
Yeah.
Yes. It's never going to
That's
happen.
the same as the 80s with the crack.
Yeah, they're going to find it. So the question is, how do you speak to those people?
Okay, so-
And Donald Trump was the only person to kind of do that. And
Yeah.
that's why shit got real weird.
And then you take, okay, so let's take that conversation on that group of people. There's no solution that Donald Trump or the Republican Party has given to those people.
But the first
Zero.
person that showed up.
No. Well, I would say Republicans general show up for that group. And I'll tell you where they show up.
They don't talk to them.
They
though.
talk to them in the sense of made in USA. Because these are
Talk to them is show up and say, I'm here for you.
Because
yeah,
no one's done that.
I'm sure there's Republican candidates that have gone out to reach that base,
But-
but they just they're just not interesting. Donald Trump's interesting.
Yeah, sure.
So he's just better
Fair.
from a marketing standpoint. My point is like, if we're going to actually, like we're having a discussion on a group of people that were left behind in this country. And the problem is that neither party, to be fair, neither party has given a solution to help solve that problem.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an economic problem. First and foremost, why do you get hooked on drugs? Why do you kill yourself? If you look at the root of it, like you're saying, it comes down to just inequality in your life, right? Where you're just down and out. And when we think about our country, and here's the thing that what drives me crazy about like the AOCs and the Bernie Sanders, if they can stop screaming and stop talking about socialism or even socialistic values and just message education and healthcare, we could solve so many problems. I know, just look at Kamala Harris. If it wasn't for education, she wouldn't be the vice fucking president.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Like,
but I think that unfortunately the way human beings and the way government works is you need AOC and you need this guy and you also need to be able to actually get things done because the truth is always in the middle.
I agree.
So for the people that are most affected from the opioid crisis, what you said, that they've just been left behind, they have no option. So they go to drugs. Guess what Trump did? He showed up and said, China cost you the jobs. I'm going to be tough on China. No one else has been tough on China.
Yeah. And the problem is it was all lies. That's the problem.
Sure.
The problem is if he would have showed up and said, here's an actual plan that's doable and started to implement it, that could have actually been one of the greatest things and he would have won by a landslide this time. Instead, he did what it took to get elected, not what it took to actually change the country. And so there was no way he could do what he did and he just sowed anger. But what I'm saying is now all those people, someone showed up and said, I got you. You're all fucking good. I'm looking at you. And now that person's gone. And if we say, fuck those guys, they were all idiots anyway, there's a problem in there that will come back. And the other thing that I see that Dave Chappelle touched on, and to me, Dave Chappelle actually very closely played the line and did it perfectly.
Yeah.
Which is, there's also a lot of minorities, a lot of black people that have felt like they've gotten the short end of the stick for a very long time. Rightfully
eternity.
so. Rightfully so. So now, and the perpetrator of that is white people. Well, now you're telling them that white people are down and out. Who's supposed to give a shit? right? And I get that. I get that sentiment totally. But the fact of the matter is, if you step away from it and look at it, now you have two groups of people that both feel done wrong, that both say fuck you to each other, and then a bunch of rich people that only worry about themselves. If you can somehow tie that all together.
Yeah, good luck.
I'm just saying, if you can, you got to go out and talk to people. You got to do stuff for the Black community. You got to look out for the opioid stuff. You got to work,
but here's the thing. It's unfortunately, and I hate to beat a dead horse, it's like, for Anand and I, without education, we would not be in the position we're in today, right? Education, healthcare, the most fundamental basic things that so many countries offer their citizens that get people out of these unfortunate economic circumstances.
You're not in any way wrong.
So there are tens of millions of Americans that were in the manufacturing kind of industries of America, in Cleveland and Pittsburgh and Ohio, like all across the country, right? Those people need to be fucking trained for new jobs. And if we don't do that, it's fucked. It's so fucked. And it is so, and we can't charge them because their industry died. That's not their fault. It's not their fault. They didn't know they had to go get retrained or re-educated. And that's why it drives me crazy when okay, we're gonna go be tough on China. We're gonna bring manufacturing back to America. As someone that's been manufacturing for 18 fucking years, manufacturing is not coming back to America.
No, but so if you think outside, so I think if you just take structural politics away, the only way to solve the issues that we're actually talking about is if the country actually thinks outside the box. So what actually needs to happen? We need to spend trillions of dollars to bring advanced manufacturing back to the US. We don't rely on China. That is actually like a national security threat that we depend on all our electronics, all our microchips to come from Taiwan and China. Bring that to the US. That's actually going to help us from a national security.
That is? That's impossible.
But I'm saying those are like these are
the type of solutions. This is what I'm saying. Yes, it's so fucking hard, but Anand's right. Like we need something.
We spent $7 trillion to prop the stock market up during a pandemic.
But that's what your buddies who voted for Trump want that. They don't want manufacturing to come back.
Let me say
they
that.
like going to get hand jobs at a fucking karaoke salon in China.
Thing. That's a 08 housing crisis thing. What we do is we walk ourselves into fucking trouble and then we pay out of it.
Yes.
Yeah. And we walk into trouble, we pay out.
Why can't we just why can't we just pay to build? You spend as much as we did on the stock market.
Yeah.
On bringing jobs home and advanced manufacturing, microchips, all the stuff the fucking iPhone's made out of.
Yeah.
Just bring it all here.
Yeah.
Just make $5 trillion. Just make the iPhone here. Yes. If you just made the iPhone in America,
you know how many people will be employed?
Yeah.
But this is my point too, is to me, there's two sides of this story. One is you actually have to teach people how to do new things. Yes, you have to educate them, you have to teach them, you have to bring jobs here. Whatever it is, you have to do that. And I'm not saying this is easy, and I'm not sitting here saying this is all Joe Biden needs to do, because it's probably the hardest thing in the world.
Yes.
You have to do that. But you also have to speak to people. Like the one thing that got lost in Trumpism, this is what blows my mind about the 5 million guy who voted for Trump, is if you don't think that there is power in saying to human beings, I see you, I'm here for you, and I am working for you, then you're crazy. Yeah. That's how humans work. You need to also let them know that there's a reason to get out of bed in the morning. Yeah. There's a reason to not take those opioids all night and maybe overdose for the third time. It's the fact that people feel like they have no reason for living that those death rates are happening and all those things. So to me, it's a two-sided thing. And Trump got one of it really right. Yeah. Which is he said, I see you, I'm here for you.
He just went and talked to them. That was half the battle.
He told them and he lied to them and said he got them.
Yeah.
And that's half.
And then in his time, in 4 years, he killed white men.
He did. he literally did the worst for the people for the poor white people that were his rabid supporters. He was the worst on that.
I would love to see, of the 240,000 people that have died of COVID, how many are white versus minority? We haven't seen those statistics, right?
They're out. I think they're out. I know that the rate is higher for
minorities. The rate
is
higher for minorities because they live in...
But the total numbers are probably way higher for white people. Yeah. I'm just guessing. But yeah, that's what I think blows my mind. And I hope that, to me, last night felt like a step in that direction. That's it. It just felt like I'm here to govern for everyone, even if you didn't vote for me. He was so embracing of if you voted for me or not. And I think that the worst thing we can do, and I know there's a long list of people that have been done wrong, and I'm not trying to lighten that. I'm not trying to say, hey, what about white people? It's not what I'm doing. There's a lot of people. But I'm just saying we're going to make a big mistake if right now we just take a 4-year victory lap and say, ha ha, see you idiots. Because they also got tricked.
Yeah.
They also put all their shit in someone for 4 years and now that person's gone. And if you say, ha ha, you idiot, you shouldn't have counted on that person, it's going to be bad.
Yeah, the problem is, okay, Joe Biden starts in January. And let's say he does not have control of the Senate.
Yep.
It's over. 4 years are done. Nothing is going to get done.
Yeah.
You know, Obama came in with such big vision, and I know a lot of people are very disappointed in him. He didn't have the fucking clout. You have to have.
Look at all the bad Trump did.
Yeah.
You could do the opposite of that.
So you could do nothing. That's really what happens.
Yeah, but that's where it's not nothing. It's like I get it. It's fucking impossible.
But you're talking about if
the messaging, the way that you react to the coronavirus coming here would be different under Joe Biden than under Trump.
100%.
And that has nothing to do with House and Senate.
Yeah.
So it's those things that I hate when people say, I know you're not saying this, but some people say like, oh, the president doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
He's just a spokesperson for what everyone else. That's just, Donald Trump just proved that's not true.
Yeah,
if that's true, then we shouldn't have cared who won the election.
Yeah, I mean, my problem is that ultimately what happens is if Mitch McConnell is still the Senate majority leader, he is extremely smart and very powerful person that knows how to play chess in this game. And he knows that he can't give too much. He has to just give just enough to make American people happy, but not give Joe Biden the opportunity to make too much change where his party becomes too powerful. Because if it actually works, they lose power. And this is what this is all about, unfortunately. It's not about, this is what drives me crazy about all politicians. It's really about keeping their power than it is about helping people.
Totally.
And so that unfortunately makes it very, very difficult to get things done. Because like Anand's talking about make the iPhone in America. By the way, the machinery, the technology, the people, that's 10 years.
No, but
if we just started investing
but I also
today.
think like we can alternate Biden for whoever the Republican candidate is next time in 2024 and alternate. They're going to be bad and then bring back a Democratic president. If you actually think about how do we improve the country, it's the similar way of like, hey, Uber was a better way to transport from point A to point B than the taxi service. It took a technology company to just break through all the red tape that existed for decades and decades. Airbnb, that's a better way to actually go from city to city and have a place to stay and break through all the red tape. And if we don't think like that in government, we're just going to play on the margins. We'll have Biden for 4 years. We'll have, I don't know, little Marco Rubio or lying Ted Cruz. You choose your flavor. And then we come back and maybe it's AOC because she'll be old enough in 2028. And then we just keep trading. Okay. And then the country's just going to wither away.
I know, but here's the problem is that, let's say there's very radical views on the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
Whether you like them or not, there's game-changing, get rid of student debt, fucking give people free education.
I don't think that's even that radical. I think what's radical for them is just like make sure all rich people are poor.
Okay, so
equal outcome is the scariest.
So let's talk about healthcare. Let's talk about education. Let's talk about student debt. On the Republican side, what their marketing strategy is you don't want anything to change. Remember America in the 1960s? That's what you want. America was great then. So when you have a party messaging no change. Change is not good for those people because change means, oh, my neighbor might be Muslim. Change is the company I work for 30 years is no longer here. Change is I might have to go, drive an Uber. It's like change is not, unfortunately, what Anand is saying, that is a very coastal way of thinking. The way San Francisco people think is fucking revolutionary. That's not how America thinks. America does not like fucking rabid change. They like they go into their name.
But it should be that way.
I agree. I'm with you.
Because guess what? The same person. I mean, you remember? I mean, even now, the concept of Postmates and DoorDash, it's seemingly unfathomable for a suburban 55-year-old.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the way everyone sub 35, sub 40 lives their life. But if they just had the discovery, like, wait. Give them two chances. Like if their kid showed them how DoorDash, Postmates, Instacart, Uber, you name it, name the service. They'll be like, oh my God, this is a better way to live.
Yeah. Yeah, but this is the only thing I want to put on the table is that it's also the kind of Republican sensibilities that keep us from also just trying out socialism.
Yeah.
Or also just, why don't we try out, like to far left people, trying out Uber is the same as trying out anything. And it is the Republican brain that keeps that in check. There's the extreme portion, but then, right, it's that balance. That the goal is just to have slow progress in the right direction. The problem is we feel right now like we need a lot of big progress really quickly.
On a
to
lot of
catch up.
fronts. There's problem is there's serious economic progress that needs to be made, which I don't think either party has the right people to execute that change. So that's 80% of society's problems are economic.
Yeah.
And then there's societal issues with systemic racism that like we haven't really accomplished anything since June. Like there hasn't been sweeping law changes that are going to show that our country's in a better place on those issues.
Yeah.
Sure, there's been some local stuff in different cities, but you know, there's shootings every fucking week.
Yeah.
I still get the headline of
I'm just
like
saying,
innocent people getting murdered.
for other reasons, I believe that it's good that Uber, I think it's good that we live in a place where Uber can go say fuck you to everyone and implement this new thing without asking. But I also think it's good that it takes a while for the policy to catch up to the good ideas. Because there's a lot of bad ideas that you don't want people to just be able to steamroll. That's all I'm saying, is I think that like, I don't know what that proper balance is, but I just think there's a lot of really bad ideas that people have that end up in, I mean, look, there's
So sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but like to your point, what's a good idea that everyone kind of universally accepts? Teslas are better than regular cars. I think that's just undeniable at this point.
well,
Not for price.
yeah.
It's fuel efficient. I mean, there's no fuel.
Yeah.
It's better for the environment. It's a nice experience.
Yeah.
Why not just spend trillions of dollars from the government to make sure that everyone has the option to drive a Tesla at an affordable rate and then get all those jobs in the US and make the damn car here?
But how many jobs do you lose doing that?
From GM and Ford? Good question. Don't know. I'm just thinking.
But that's
I have no idea.
That's like, you're like AOC. And I'm like, it's like, why don't we fucking tear it all down and do it this way?
That's
right?
my
And then I'm like,
point.
well, wait a minute, let's look at, and so I'm just saying it does serve a purpose. You just got to get rid of, look, I think for the last 4 years, we had an extreme view as the leader. And that's bad. And if, like you said to Joe Biden might be absolutely stuck for the next 4 years. But if Joe Biden starts to open up the thought of decency and those sort of things, and maybe in 4 years, Texas flips or Florida flips, long game, he won.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's moving in that right direction as far as we're concerned, even though he's not going to be able to like, just like, yes.
Yeah, and my thing is like, and this is for all Americans, this is my view, is that like the things that will erase your anger, erase the racism, are all things rooted in economic inequality, which stem from you not getting the right opportunity in life. Like, you know why immigrants are scary? Because immigrants have nothing to lose. They fucking work hard. They're just like, we're so happy to be here. We will do anything, take any job, and we will just do it. And that's scary because those people are willing to do anything. And when you think about where we are as a society, like, I have more sympathy for 99% of Republican people that are going through economic hardship, even if they are fucking racist, because I know why they act like that. Because
Well, you don't end up racist because you're happy.
No,
In
it's not.
2020.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You have that, you've been gut punched so badly by, I mean, I saw it in my own industry, right? Like in apparel. I started in apparel in 2002. Half the people I started in the apparel industry with got wiped out in the last recession. They went and got other jobs. They went to different industries. Like it
Or
just
raise the TikTok star.
or became a TikTok star.
You know what I mean? I'm telling you, when I walked around, similar to what's going on probably in TikTok, when I walked around, I went to one of the weed conventions.
Yeah.
And it was like a mishmash of old people that were walking around magic.
Yes.
It's like, do we belong here?
Yeah.
Like, this is similar. Where do we belong? You know?
And it's just like, you know, fashion ends up getting with like a hustler type group. So these people just figure out and they find different
So I
opportunities.
think if we don't want to make the radical ideas, because we know bringing trillions of dollars of manufacturing back to the U.S. is actually the right move, but we're just not going to do it. Just legalize gambling, 50 states. Legalize marijuana, 50 states. Legalize like everything.
Yeah.
Because that actually will create industry.
Yeah, especially marijuana. I don't disagree with at all. I mean, I don't really disagree with like heavy laws on any of that. Like, I think you should kind of be able to do what you're going to do.
Because the one like anecdotal evidence, I know it's hit or miss if you're investing in the cannabis space. You know, I've never heard anyone losing in a weed shop. Everyone makes money at a weed shop.
I know someone that lost on a weed
Seems
shop.
like cash is going in and out the back door. Yeah.
Somehow or the other, it's like 9.9 out of 10 times, every person I know that is involved in a weed shop says they're printing money.
Yeah.
Huge demand. Unmet demand.
Yeah.
Grow it.
I mean, that's for sure.
Yeah, I
true.
mean, that's a perfect industry. Like, look,
That's the point to me where like the Republican brain is just going too far.
Yeah.
Like, let it go, bro.
Yes.
The shit's been proven.
Yeah, gambling and marijuana.
Yeah.
That could create millions and millions of jobs.
And in those states.
Yes.
In those states.
Yeah.
And guess what? If marijuana was legal, guess what? They'd probably lay off the opioids.
Yeah. Oh, it would definitely. I mean, that happened. That's been proven with athletes.
And by the way,
Yeah, and in the NBA bubble, they legalized marijuana.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't test for marijuana in the NBA bubble.
Yeah, you don't have marijuana and Call of Duty in the bubble. Like, what are you doing? Torturing people?
And the tax revenue would be bananas.
Yes.
Absolute bananas.
Those are simple things. With the manufacturing jobs that we were talking about earlier, those are more radical and probably never will happen, but it's actually, I think, the only way to actually solve it.
I agree. But like the problem with marijuana, let's take it. That's change. It's not in line with a Christian value person.
Yeah, but that same Christian family that has the Christian values probably has a kid that died of an overdose.
But I know,
but
they still can't see
you
it.
won't let go of your thing. I think it's the same way that I think, jumping into socialism is not good. I think that also on the flip side, not doing simple things like legalizing marijuana is absurd, or cleaning up the way we do the prison system. Because that also seems like a fucking nightmare that you could figure out like relatively easily and would solve a lot of problems. I think it sounds like if in the effort of trying to get a couple news stories in, I think here's the thought.
Is there anything relevant going on other than this?
But I think here's the thought, right? Tell me if you agree. No, there's not. Is Sunday, November 8th, these are our feelings. Couldn't be happier. It feels like literally like an exhale, general happiness, at least reporting from our bubble. Those speeches were great, amazing. That being said, we can't, early on, let's remember, we can't forget there's 71 million people who still voted the other way. There's a lot of other issues. How can we really, like if we keep talking all this shit about like, we got to unite, we got to stop the division, like how do we really, what does that really look like?
Yeah, so I mean, I think, to be honest, the wound is too fresh right now.
Yeah.
So it's not happening right now.
No.
Especially when you have, I mean, it must have drove people nuts seeing John Legend and Chrissy Teigen
out their sunroof,
out of their fucking Range Rover,
in
and
West
then
Hollywood.
Gwyneth Paltrow.
I didn't see this.
Are you joking?
No,
They were
what
like
happened?
down Melrose, wherever.
Fuck down Santa Monica Boulevard.
Yeah, deep
in
West
WeHo.
Hollywood.
So I didn't leave my place yesterday, not because I didn't want to we just didn't.
Yeah.
So I have no idea what happened.
So,
I
it was on social.
I mean, Gwyneth Paltrow and her dude in a convertible rolling down Santa Monica Boulevard. Ariana Grande going down Santa Monica. I
and
mean,
they're all posting.
All posting. There's videos of them all dancing.
LA
it's like
Times.
music, Lady Gaga and gay people and transgender. I mean, it was just throw people.
Well, listen, if you're in Alabama, don't look at West Hollywood. Right?
Please,
Let's
whatever
ease
you
into
do.
this.
Yes,
Let's ease into the next 4 years.
Yeah, and so I think like that was like part of what was interesting was like I was very happy and proud, but I didn't want to gloat to like rub it into people because I at the end of the day, like I don't want to fight with people. I don't want to be angry. Like those feelings suck.
Yeah.
Like
and you have to notice the similarities to how exactly this felt in 2016.
Yeah.
Of like, I'm leaving the country. I see a lot of that.
Yeah.
From people who are definitely not leaving the country.
Yeah. You should get a passport first before you want to leave the country.
A lot of this isn't fair. A lot of all the stuff that the Democrats said in 2016, like it or not, call it stupid or not, it's how they feel. And we got to be mindful of that.
Yeah, I agree. I just think here's the thing. Nothing's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think the problem is their leader has chosen not to take the prototypical approach.
We have 2.5 months.
Yeah, and so
It's going to be weird.
that's why, like, I'm cautious, but I also am like, if this dude doesn't concede, then I'm all in.
No,
I'm
he's not conceding.
And then I'm
No, they've already reported he's not going to concede, and he'll just
What's
leave.
the rule on the nuclear codes for lame duck?
He has them.
He has him.
All right. Doesn't it seem sketchy? I mean, I feel like at the minimum, I'm not saying he's going to nuke anyone, but like he's going to be pardoning his ass off. He's going to try to make shit difficult.
Yeah,
He's gonna,
But I mean, what you're saying is, in theory, if he started doing reckless things,
yeah.
we could technically have, in the first time ever in the United States, a military coup where the generals are like, we're not doing this.
Yeah.
Right?
Especially knowing
Yeah, I'm
Joe
sure that's what would
Biden.
happen. I'm not saying he'd launch nukes for real, but like, you know, he's gonna make shit
The
hard.
only way
He's
he
not
could-
gonna
I think
be
it's just
quiet.
pardoning. Heavy pardons.
The only way it could be a non-peaceful transfer of power if the military sides with Donald Trump. If the United States military says, we will not defend Joe Biden, we will only defend Donald Trump, that's how you have a non-peaceful, that's not happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like, I would say the other challenge is if he pardons Kyle Rittenhouse.
Jesus.
Does he think he gets Snowden just to get the
He could
pop
do it
culture?
just to piss people. I hope. Wouldn't that be so cool? But to me, like he would. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too judgmental here, but he's more the type to pardon Kyle Rittenhouse to be like, "Fuck you guys,"
Yeah, exactly.
than Edward Snowden.
Yeah. Because he has aspirations now of being to stay in the limelight. He's not gonna go away. He's not gonna be like
He's
OJ,
gotta
where you
make
just see
money.
in a golf course once every 3 months and we see a funny video out of him.
He's gotta make money.
Yeah, he's gonna make money. So he's gonna go. Everyone says he wants to go launch his own media.
Yeah.
You know,
He should.
Yeah.
I mean, from a business point of view.
Yeah.
Not from a morale of the country point of view. But like you guys, it sounds like you got some big debt there.
Yeah.
You know, and the real estate thing isn't exactly. I wonder what's going to happen to that. Like, how do we feel about staying at Trump building? Like, what happens to all that?
I mean, the New York one luckily has changed, so that's fantastic.
Yeah, thank God.
That was
That was a nice hotel.
Love that place.
What's back?
Yeah, they changed it. It's
Yeah,
not Trump anymore.
Dominic.
Yeah.
Dominic,
Yeah,
it's
now Dee
perfect
has
for
to
you.
stay.
Dee
Yeah,
Yeah,
has
I
to
stayed
stay.
there last time I was there. I was like,
When
this
are
is
we going to
Dominic,
New York
right?
I'm just
again?
curious, like, what
When?
happens to if you could look at the P&L of the Trump empire? What does that look
It's
like?
crumbling now because now no one has any reason to do business with him.
You should just buy up like Motel 8, and those should be Trump hotels.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh my god.
Oh, that would be a booming
I'm just
industry for
saying,
him.
bro. Why
Yeah.
are you in the nicest areas? Those people hate you now.
Yeah.
You got to go
Yeah.
Holiday Inn.
Yeah,
Okay.
go to
Go
all,
buy- go buy
look
up
at where your votes were.
be
Go
sick.
open
Go
up
to Florida.
If all Motel 8s
Florida,
were
just up and down
rebranded.
Florida.
Choose up and take all the little shitty
panhandle.
motels.
Yeah.
Oh,
Make
yeah,
them
at
Trump
least, yeah,
motels.
you have the perfect data on where your business is going to
And all
thrive.
the little crackheads will just. you're good.
Hey, we're not doing that.
No, it's my bad.
Thank you. Well, that's where we'll leave it. So we promised that.
We solved the world's problems.
Looks like, as always, we solved the world's problems. So if everyone can just figure out how to, go ahead and put these things into play, we'll be all good. How long does that take? A couple months? iPhones? I mean, come on. Move them over. Ship them.
I'll be honest. Last night, I was all of yesterday, I was like relieved, then happy, and like I was sharing messages from people all over the country. Actually, all over the world, I was getting text messages. Australia, Switzerland, Paris. People are like congratulating me like that because obviously I'm a vocal person about it. I'm very passionate about it. But I am extremely anxious because I agree with you. 71 million people are fucking angry right now.
Yeah.
And the president just keeps stoking their flame.
Yeah.
And I don't we need to move on.
Yeah.
Like we moved on when we lost. And we were like, okay, this is then when
Yeah,
he
but to
started
them,
banning
we
Muslims, I was like, I can't fuck with this guy no more.
To them, we didn't move on. To them, we complained for 4 years.
Yeah, I think I didn't complain until the Muslim ban. And then I was like, it's on,
But what was that,
motherfucker.
month one?
No, that was like a little further down.
42 days in.
Wasn't Charlottesville within the first year too?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was rough right away.
Yeah.
He didn't waste any time.
Yeah, fine people.
Okay, well, listen, we did promise one thing, and that was that all of
How good was Chappelle's joke where he's like, at least Trump was an optimist. Fine people.
You know what I love too is he was kind of like working out material on SNL. You know, like, there was one thing he said, like something like that's why women shouldn't get paid more. Or something
Yeah,
like
he
that.
said,
And
sorry, Lauren. Laura Michaels created SNL. And
He's like, I thought we were having a comedy show.
Yeah, because he caught a brick on a couple jokes.
Yeah, and he's like, I was just testing that one.
But by the way, on that same thing, I don't know if you watched further into the episode. So I watched a couple
I only saw
skits.
the 16-minute.
Yeah, I bailed.
Okay, there was a skit that was the funniest thing. It's Alec Baldwin. He's the CEO of a company, and he's firing Aunt Jemima. And then Maya Rudolph is playing Aunt Jemima.
That was on when I turned it off.
Okay, and then is it Keenan Thompson?
Yeah.
He is Uncle Ben. And then he's firing both of them. And Dave Chappelle is the Allstate guy.
They're like, what the fuck? What about the Allstate guy?
And so then they're trying to fire him. And Dave Chappelle, Allstate guy, turns on all of them. And then there's who was the
Pete
vampire?
Davidson.
It's
Pete
like
Davidson.
what was the Choco vampire?
Yeah.
It's like a cereal. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's
cereal.
made of chocolate. No, he's not.
He's chocolate. And so he throws him under the bus, who's under Pete Davidson. And he's making fun of the Choco guy with Pete Davidson. And Dave Chappelle just bursts out laughing so hard. He couldn't even
hold
keep
it.
And he's like, I messed up. It's just like
So funny.
You have to watch this skit. It's the funniest thing.
Oh, that's so good. And even the Jim Carrey, Maya Rudolph.
Yeah, opening. Yeah, Maya Rudolph.
Yeah, they're just good. They nailed that.
Yeah. I mean, they wore the same outfit. How did they do that?
I know.
The exact same suit.
Wardrobe, man.
Yeah.
They just whipped it together.
Yeah, they did a great job.
Okay. So what I was going to say is we did promise that the fall would be great for content.
Yeah.
And here we are. And I don't see it slowing up. And I think I can absolutely guarantee you, because Trump might be bad for the media industry. That might be true. But I can promise all of our Cathys that at least until January 20th, we got nothing but good content.
I think he's great for media. He has everyone glued to the screen. I think it's a
Biden?
problem. I think, Biden is. I mean, I think once Trump leaves office, cable news is toast.
And New York
that's what I'm
Times,
saying.
Washington Post, all that stuff.
Yeah, like Biden gets in there as just a normal, boring politician. What do those guys do?
And while they fall off the cliff, I think we only pick up.
Yeah.
Ours will only get better.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that optimism.
Well, listen,
Optimism.
Trump
It's
optimism,
facts.
man. You got to keep it alive.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break to bring you today's sponsor of the group chat episode, and that is none other than the Grand Running Club. If you head over to grandrunningclub.com, that's right, their new website, you're going to find everything on there that they make, including the everyday pant that is the most comfortable pant you'll ever wear. And it's great because it's literally, you can wear it every single day, whether you're going out and running errands or you're sitting at home on the Zoom calls all day or whatever life throws at you. The everyday pant is your go-to pant in a number of colors. You can head over there right now with their new Black Friday sale happening right now, and you can get 2 pairs for $80. Usually, pants of that same exact material and make and kind by some of the biggest brands are upwards of $80 to $120 on their own. And Grand Run Club is giving it to you for just 2 for $80. That's $40 a piece. It's a deal you cannot beat. So get over there, and while you're there, sign up if you haven't already. We have tons and tons of people all around the world joining us for the Grand Running Club virtual half marathon. That's right, on December 5th and 6th. You just have to run your length of choice, whether it's the 3K, 5K, 10K, marathon, more than a marathon, half marathon. Take part in it, and you, by signing up, are going to get a gift box with a number of goodies. It pays off just to sign up. You don't even have to run. You just sign up. You get a 6 sweatshirt, tons of discounts from all of our companies here and all of the other companies that we work with, and a ton of really, really, really great and amazing goodies thrown in the box. So don't miss out. All of this is over at grandrunningclub.com. And for a special discount when you go grab those pants, or maybe the everyday shorts by Grand Running Club, if you just put in the code group chat, you'll get a special discount. So don't miss out. That won't be around forever, but Grand Running Club will be. So take advantage now of that sale and of the discount, grandrunningclub.com. That's it. We're going to get you back into today's episode. Thank you so much for listening.
Okay, it's time for our final segment, and that is the Karen of the Week.
Yeah.
That's where each week we pick someone that has been acting like a real Karen. We teamed up with our friends over at Keeping Up with the Karens to make this happen. If you don't follow Keeping Up with the Karens on Instagram and social media, I would strongly recommend you go do that. If you want to just lighten up your day a little, sometimes at other people's expense, usually a middle-aged white woman, but not always. Head over there, get yourself a good laugh. So each week we call out someone who's been acting like a real Karen. And, just to give a couple personality traits, usually it encompasses a lot of complaining, entitlement, passing blame, lack of accountability, and really think they can get away with anything. And also for our segment, it does not, and for the page, it does not have to be no race, no ethnicity. Anyone can act like a Karen.
Yep.
That's the rundown. Dee, who's your Karen?
Carl Lentz.
Ooh,
Good one.
really good.
He
Damn
is people know him as Pastor Lentz.
Yep.
Hillsong East Coast Church is where he leads the congregation. He is Justin Bieber's former pastor and mentor.
I think Kevin Durant too.
And probably like the whole
Like
slew
half the
of-
NBA.
the whole gang. Yeah.
Yeah, and he
And the like Selena Gomez's or that whole squad was like part of that.
and what's interesting was that he was like the cool pastor.
A little too cool.
A little too cool. He was the one that really connected with young people, and I understand why. He dressed cool. He wore his fear of God, and he, just hung out with celebrities, had the watch, and just some supermodels at his thing.
Yep.
Unfortunately, he got busted.
Oh, what did he do? Hold on. He had fake Supreme.
He had fake Supreme. Yeah, that's what it was.
Okay, step down, buddy.
No, he got caught.
Red-handed.
Got
Cheating?
caught. Yes.
He's married and got caught cheating.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I will say there's a lot of things that have surprised me recently, and that
Sure not.
I gotta
one.
say is not one of them. That guy looks like
He was swagged out.
He said,
He had all the fresh.
he was like at One Oak and shit. Like he was
Yes.
like out in the club.
Eric Deluxe was with him at like clubs, and he was like, "This dude's so swagged out."
I was unfaithful in my marriage, the most important relationship in my life, and held accountable for that.
Because Hillsong said they canned him at first for moral failings.
Yes.
And I was like, what did this guy do?
Yeah. I mean, here's the reason why for me, it's like religion's a really interesting thing. I'm not a religious person, but like our mom is very religious. Our dad's very religious. They're very spiritual. And so I'm very respectful for that. And, I plan to teach my children about religion, but I don't necessarily find myself being a religious person. And the problem is, it's very similar to a statement Anand always says, it's like, don't idolize people you don't know, right? And I think in this case, like religious figures are held to these they're treated literally like gods. And when they kind of sit there and preach all these things about life and they don't live up to it, I mean, if I'm a follower of that person, I'm devastated.
Yep.
When you see it's the same thing when I remember when I was idolized some basketball player or whatever, and they acted a certain way, I was devastated.
But that's also my point is like, if you love LeBron James, it's like finding out LeBron James actually can't shoot free throws.
Yeah.
It's like, then you might as well just be a fan of the guy playing basketball down at the local park.
Yeah.
You want the stars to be good at what they're talking about.
Exactly. And in this case, religion is something that to me is so important for people, and it gives so many people hope. And so when you see this happen, I feel really bad.
For who?
For his followers.
Yeah.
Because it's like they look up to this guy. And then even when you're in the act of committing infidelity, and you do not preach this.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking.
It's literally you spend your days, you get paid to talk about how to stay strong and
On
not
high moral
do
ground.
these things.
Yeah, exactly.
I just don't look. I know some of our friends know Pastor Carl. I want to take it easy on him. But damn it, this reeks of just BS. When we saw this guy walking around in Supreme, and I think this is the same guy that there's a lot of photos of with his shirt off.
Yeah.
With his weird muscly.
Very expensive watch.
Yeah, very expensive watches. And it's like, look, dude, I get it, but doesn't feel right. And now you're cheating. At what point do we say how is this not just a motivational speaker that scammed the religious world?
Yeah.
It's pretty much what it was.
That's why and we could talk about this for another 2 hours, but religion, and when you're a religious figure, you need to be treated with, to me, the most scrutiny because it's so easy. It's so ripe for scamming.
And this goes back to my Donald Trump position when it comes to religion.
Yeah.
Is that like, if you're a religious person, how can you support him? Because he doesn't respect
But you already know the answer.
what the Bible teaches.
The answer is we all have. It's that he owned up to it and that he committed himself to doing better.
I actually don't even think. I think it's even more than that. And you've talked about it. It's that he represents the values, whether he defends, lives them or not. He's going to govern with those values.
That's a huge,
Right?
Yeah. It's a tricky thing, man. But I think those people should really be scrutinized because there's too much upside. You're tapping into somebody's. Emotions. Okay, well, perfect. You are a Karen, Carl.
Yeah.
Like it or not.
He's a Karen.
Take this L. Anand, who's your Karen?
So just the same way I talked about for a lot of this episode, how if we don't understand where the 71 million people that voted for Donald Trump, where they're coming from, we'll never get anywhere because sure, we won this time, but it's just going to flip-flop. I think every Trump voter, especially the centrist Trump voter, not the racist one, to actually realize the mental anguish that Trump's rhetoric put on non-white people in this country. And just from my friends, my close inner circle of friends, that all do really well. And honestly, for them, it doesn't matter who's president.
Yeah.
They're going to do well either way. Their businesses are going to do great and their families are going to do great. But it was this sense of relief and joy that like, hey, we're not guests in this country. We're all born and raised here. We're contributing to the economy. We employ people. We're doing all the right things and we're US citizens. And the rhetoric was so damaging.
Yeah.
And I don't think even some of my closest friends didn't realize how much mental anguish they had until yesterday.
Yeah.
Because it was just like, oh my God, it's done.
Yeah. Not to make it about me. I felt it and I was part of the in-group.
Yeah.
But I felt because of other people's. Like I knew how much tension there just was. And did you guys all see that Van Jones video?
Yeah. I saw it.
That video went like super viral for good reason because I think he really did a good job at kind of explaining
and
and
seemed
showing
authentic.
that like pain. Yeah. But I just think like I felt it and it wasn't even about me. I felt it because you could feel it you just feel it in the air. You know, like when there's that stuff being said, it's it's heavy.
Yep.
So who's the Karen?
The Karen is
71 million Trump voters.
the Karen is the Trump voter that doesn't realize what the rhetoric did.
Yeah. Okay, so I have to take the obvious one. I really apologize, but it's Donald Trump. I mean, if you want to see poster child
Karen.
for Karens, you're like, hey, ma'am, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to leave.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I'm welcome here. I actually own this place. I won by a lot.
Yeah. I mean, he's literally talking about 71 million pissed off Republicans.
Yeah.
And it's just every tweet he has, there's a disclaimer on. He is talking about election fraud.
I woke up yesterday morning and the whole, as far as I could see on the page, was all blocked.
Yeah.
If that's not Karen, I don't know what it is, man. I mean, I think.
Yeah, he definitely deserves. He's a Karen of our lifetime.
Okay. All right. Well, there it is. That's all we got.
Yeah. I got a couple shout outs.
Oh, yeah. Let's get those shout outs.
Well, one I totally messed up. I peed at this guy. His fiance had sent a message to get a shout out. It was during the election episode, which I was blackout by 6:30. I mean, we went for 6 hours.
That was impressive. I got off early and I was like, these guys are probably right behind me. And I checked back in like an hour and a half later and it was like Eric DJ like eating Taco Bell, whatever the fuck. That was great. Good job.
But his name is Corey. His birthday was November 3rd. He's turning 25 years old. And happy birthday. Sorry about the delayed messaging.
Well, fiance Corey at 25, huh?
Yeah.
Good job, man.
Yeah, getting an early start.
Found it early.
And then what do we got here? Chelsea, who worked on the Democratic campaign in Illinois. Good work. They won the state.
Good work. Good work.
She worked really hard on the campaign, and her boyfriend, which I didn't get his name, but he, do you have the name, Pete?
No.
Okay. But
I don't get these shout outs anymore now that we got the newsletter and we've
Pete just
disowned
gave
it.
up.
Yeah,
It
but
was all you.
good work, Chelsea. And volunteering on a campaign is no joke. I've been on the peripheral of a bunch of campaigns in the past. I haven't really dedicated my entire time to a campaign like a lot of people have. It is amazing how many people volunteered during election season on Democrat, Republican, House, senators, presidential.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are so many passionate people, which is what I'm still so optimistic about from this election, is that people are engaged. So if we can actually message something right, we'll all benefit from it.
I volunteered when I was in high school. Multiple campaigns.
Really?
Democratic National Convention when I was at Staples Center. I volunteered for a state senator.
Did you guys have political dreams as young?
I just liked it.
I remember I used to always think you were always so like, I don't want to say proper, but like, you always sort of kept an eye on yourself because I thought one day you wanted to be in government.
No, I have no interest in ever being a politician.
I'd only want to be
know that
president.
now, but I thought that was,
I'd only want to be president.
yeah, you're Trump.
Yeah, you're Donald.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Hey, he's like an Indian version of Donald.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not,
That could work.
I'm not Gandhi. I'm not turning the other's cheek. I'm punching you in the fucking face too.
I think probably in maybe 16 years, we could be open to an Indian Trump.
30.
30 years.
Howdy Modi.
Yeah. At 70 is the time to really get
Like, the
your
country
life.
would be
Yeah, it
so
sounds like
diverse.
that's the resurgence.
I posted a video about just being, inspired about America and how you can do anything. I think the obvious is obviously Kamala Harris and what she stood for or represents. Joe Biden to me is equally important to note because
he's old.
there's ageism in this country.
Yeah.
Serious ageism against people that are in their 60s or 70s that they can't accomplish anything.
Yeah.
And like, we just elected a 78-year-old man to be president, and he ran his ass out on
Never
stage.
seen
But
Trump
if you
run.
think about the most
dog.
powerful people in politics, it's him 78, McConnell's is around there, Pelosi's
Yeah.
80.
Yeah, which is
I will
honestly,
say, like, the glass ceiling for old white dudes is, hard to find.
yeah.
It's at 78.
But honestly, him being 78 years old, and even being Trump or any of these people in their 70s, it kind of excites you about getting old. That it's just, unfortunately, I think a lot of people do die because of purpose, the lack of it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, for sure.
totally.
And
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
this should re-energize like the Grey Panthers. That there's
Panthers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That there is this whole new life once you do retire or you do get in your 70s or 60s or 80s or whatever it is, which was super inspiring.
Okay. Well, there you go. D 2052.
I mean, we're 2020.
2052. 32 years.
Why 32 years?
Well, it's by force.
This is 2020.
So 32.
Oh, wait, sorry. You're right.
Right.
Yeah, 32.
D 2052.
Yeah.
There's a little Trump in him,
Yeah.
but the country's diverse enough at that point that like a brown Trump would be sick.
Yeah, maybe I'll bleach my skin.
You probably just go after what's left of the white people.
Yeah, I'd probably be a Republican by then.
Yeah.
I'll just go after poor whites.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, everyone look forward to that. Mark
Save
your
that,
calendars.
save that.
Save that date.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's it. We will see you in a couple days.